Dorkening and all affiliated shows are not intended for anyone under the age of 18. The following may contain discussions or scenes that have adult situations, graphic violence, nudity, strong sexual content, and graphic language. This show is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another kick-ass episode of Still Toking with. Yeah, you know who I am. And we got a hell of a show for you tonight. But just real quick, before we get into our awesome co-host and our amazing guest, we just want to send our thoughts and prayers out to everybody in Texas that was affected by the floods over the weekend. Extremely catastrophic, but you are in our thoughts and prayers. With that being said, the man who's always flashy, Mr. Jeffrey Mark.
A flashy good evening to everybody out there. And I'm really looking forward to this because this lady, our guest, has so many facets to her career. But the one that gets me all tingly is I was asked yesterday on a show, is there any part of show business you've never done you really wanted to? I wanted to be a regular on a Goodson Todman game show. I wanted to be on the panel To Tell the Truth or hosting I've Got a Secret or something like that. Now, I have done one or two, but not for Goodson Todman. But this lady, besides being a wonderful actor and a beautiful woman, was for several years on The Price is Right. And she's written a book about it, and she's got memories to share about it and her film Friday and a whole bunch of other things. So you can look at my sparkles while we talk to the wonderful Kathleen Bradley. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. And that's Kathleen Bradley. You almost got it right.
You know what it is? We've got new lettering down here, and I can't see it.
See, that's okay. I can't even see your face. I'm like looking into a nice big old white screen looking back at me, but that's quite all right. I've been called worse. It's all right.
Well, we'll
They used
start
to
with
call me Kathleen Battle, the opera singer, Kathleen Battle. I've had people call me, but you know what? They really call me Kathleen Parker. My name is Kathleen Bradley since I'm Miss Parker. Go figure.
Right.
well, the
Yeah, but
title of
made
the
an
title of
impression on people.
yeah, the title of your book pretty much explains what you did. So what is the title of your book, Kathleen?
You know, and I should have had my book sitting right here to put it up, but it is called Backstage at the Price is Right, Memoirs of a Barker Beauty.
And the beauty is obvious.
Yeah, it just encompasses the 10 years I was on the show from my POV, being one of Barker's beauties as the first Black model on the show, and just different things I experienced. A lot of fun things for the most part, some very interesting things, little racism, little sexism, and the whole nine. But it's done in such a little fashion that it's me with my voice, and I always like to add a little humor to everything I do. So it's very entertaining and a very good read, and a lot of wonderful photos in it. It's on Amazon.
Yes, ma'am. When you got started on the show, and you were the first African American model on the show, were you aware in the moment that you were breaking ground, that you were smashing ceilings for other people?
I was basically because they asked for a Black model in particular to audition and put on the show at that time, because CBS was being scrutinized for its daytime content and not having enough diversity in their programming, especially the soap operas and of course the game shows and what have you. So they had to step back a little bit, and then actually they added more soap opera stars to The Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, all of that, and as well as The Price is Right and a few other little daytime shows that they had. So we knew whoever got that spot was going to be pretty fortunate and be the first and kind of represent, you know, the generation of young Black women and what have you. And it happened to be me. And I really just, was tickled pink. I prayed for that. I claimed it. I knew it was a wonderful opportunity and job for me, because I just felt like I fit in with the rest of the ladies. I had always admired Janice and Holly and Diane for years after watching the show. And I think the fact that we were all pretty much kind of like the same age range kind of helped out a little bit. And the fact that I was so widely world traveled, had been in 86 countries prior, and traveling with my singing group, I had an edge on the other girls. I was able to really communicate with Diane and Holly and Janice on a different level. Plus, I was cuter than all of them anyway.
Go, woman, go.
Right.
Yeah. Travel all those countries. For those of you who don't know, among other things, Kathleen was a disco diva.
Well, right? I would say disco diva. I was with the singing and dancing group, the Love Machine, 7 girls singing and dancing back in the 70s. And we were able to travel all around the world performing. We had an 8-piece band, mind you. So there were quite a few people traveling back then. And we worked in Saint-Tropez, Monte Carlo, Cannes, Nice, Africa, Asia, Italy, Germany, Spain, Belgium, Sweden, Switzerland, you name it. We were able to do that. I was with the group over 8 years, and we were also with Motown Records. We signed with them. As a matter of fact, the Miracles, right after Smokey left, Billy Griffin came in to take Smokey Robinson's place with Motown. And we traveled with the Miracles for a little while in Japan and worked with them and knew the guys. They called us the girls. And they wrote a song for us called
I know.
Love Machine. Did we get to sing it? No. Why not? Because Billy Griffin and Pete Moore played it for Berry Gordy and said, this song would be great for the girls. Wonderful. It's about the love machine, and I won't work for nobody but you. And that was our manager, John Daniels. We went, and everything in there, love, making soul shaking, love machine. And Barry said, that's hot. I think you guys should do it. They did it, but they fought for us to do it. The Miracles did fight for us to do it and sing it. But Barry Gordy had the last vote. What can I say? And, you know, every time I hear it, it just, I feel a pain right here and right here in my pocketbook.
I don't blame you one tiny little bit. Good heavens. You
I
was
know.
robbed, Kathleen.
Yes, we were. Oh my God. I wouldn't have minded. We could have been a one-hit wonder. That would be been wonderful. Our whole lives would have been different. But then again, when I think about it, if my life had been different, I don't know if I would want it any differently than what it is like right now, to a degree, if it meant us having that song and singing it and performing it. Just the whole world would have been different. But we'll never know, will we?
Nope.
It's okay.
Well,
I'm happy though.
you're talking about the right now. It's a good segue into, you've got an event coming up right now, this coming 10 days or so. Why don't you let all of our friends and fans who are watching and listening know about it so they can come join you?
Yes, if you're in the Los Angeles area, one of the people that live on the Friday Street where the movie Friday was made has really become a very big tourist attraction. There are a lot of tour buses that come around there and bring people in. And the Miss Parker house, my house across the street from Smokey's house, Craig's house, and a few other houses that are there, they have opened their front porches and front yards for people to come be able to take photos. Like at Miss Parker's house, there's a big statue, a picture of me with the hose, and they charge people money. They've been making a lot of good money. Why shouldn't they? Ever since the movie kind of came out, became so popular. And on Smokey and Craig's house, you can actually go sit on the porch where they were sitting doing this. And there's a big photo of them. You could take a picture in front with them. They have all kind of merchandise over there, hats, Miss Parker hats. They have T-shirts, Smokey, and everybody's wonderful memorabilia and things that you can have and buy over there. So I did go. They've been wanting me to come back almost once a month or something, which I would like to do. I have autographs that I've signed over there before. So this Saturday, I think it's July 18th. Oh no, I'm sorry, Friday. Oh God, how could I get that?
Yeah.
Friday. I think Friday is the 18th. Friday the 18th. It's 126th Street and Vermont. That's the cross street. 126th Street is the actual street in Alpha, Vermont. There'll be people there and coming out and having fun, and I'll be signing autographs. You can take a photo with me or a video and all kinds of different fun things, T-shirts, hats, and all of that. So if you get an opportunity, come on out. I'll be selling my book as well.
Excellent. And the reason for it is 30th anniversary.
Yeah, 30th anniversary.
Years.
That's big, right? You're right. 30 years. And we did have something a while back. Felicia and Angela Means, who played Felicia, she was in town, and she and we did a really nice show for Byron Scott. Byron Scott has a nice podcast, and Byron Scott and his co-host, they dressed up as Smokey and Craig, and we shot the whole podcast right there on the street. They sat right in front of Smokey and Craig's house dressed up like them, and we did an entire podcast right there in front of the house. It was a hoot. It was so much fun. They had the lowrider car that came in and everything, and the one guy played Debo. Of course, Debo's not with us any longer. And Angela and we did interviews with them, and it was just so much fun and brought back so many memories of when we first shot the film over 30 years ago, and being in that environment. Of course, the color of the houses and different things have changed and upgraded, but still the whole essence and feel of the neighborhood was kind of the same thing. And it was just so much fun.
I could imagine being on that set. I mean, the cast alone was just incredible. Incredible. Yeah. And of course, the writer himself is incredible. Yeah,
DJ Poole and Ice Cube, who wrote that, and they unfortunately everybody, well, I wasn't there when everybody was there at one particular time, which I was a little upset, because the very end of the movie they did have everybody come together because it had such a, even though it was funny and had drugs and, all kind of crazy stuff happening, the message was that you don't need to pick up a gun to fight. You could use your fists. With, Greg's dad, John Witherspoon, told him
Yep.
not to pick up the gun, man. Use your fist like they used to do back in the old days and kind of
Yep.
talk things out. You don't have to fight all the time. But just the people, I worked with Bernie Mac and my little husband, Cox, Tony Cox, the little
Tony Cox,
small guy, and he's a sweetheart. And of course, Ice Cube and Chris Tucker and Regina King happened to be there the day I was working. And I worked there only 2 days on the show, actually, on the movie. So it was very much just so much live fun with everybody in the cast that were there. And of course, F. Gary Gray, the director, he was magnificent. He allowed us a lot of freedom to express ourselves, but still staying within the realm of the script and the wording. But he did allow us a lot of artistic freedom, which I know, and we all say to this day, led to the show's movie success. Because, a lot of ad-libbing was going on with especially Chris Tucker. He is the king of the ad-libbing. He said so many things, man. It was like, well, how do I respond to this? Not too much with me, but for other people and what have you. But it just made the movie so much more fun and so much freer and just so much realistically, coming out from your mouth, the things that you would normally say. Sometimes writers miss that. The actual, pen to paper, they can write it. But when you're actually doing that and going through the motions, you feel like the reactions come out a little differently, and like you really might want to say or do something a little different. So if you're allowed to do that from time to time when you're filming and the director allows you, that's a big plus, because they kind of miss that. They do miss it, writing stuff. Especially depends on who's writing it and for who. But it was just a wonderful experience.
When fans approach you today, are they more about Friday or the show or your music? Which area of your very long, wonderful career do you feel you're best known for?
Probably Friday, probably Miss Parker. Everybody will say, hi, Miss Parker. Especially I do a lot of celebrity golf tournaments. I love playing golf. I play in Anthony Anderson's golf tournament, Cedric the Entertainer. Actually, Chris Tucker has one coming up next month in Atlanta. And I just saw him not too long ago at the NAACP golf tournament. And he said, I didn't know you played golf. Come on, get in my golf tournament. And he said, here. I said, well, give me your number and call me on my phone and I'll get back to you and send you my info. And he did that. He called my number. I didn't have my phone on me right then. And he called me, leaving his number. And lo and behold, when I finally got back to the number, looked at home, it was a private number. So I never got the phone number. Joke's on me, but I know enough people that know him. So I'm going to look him up and say, hey, man, I'd like to come to the tournament. It was not too late. But, people know me and recognize me as Miss Parker, of course, like I said, and they love to say the line and call me Miss Parker. And so The Price is Right. A lot of folks, they know me from there as well. And they knew me, a lot of college students. We would have a lot of college students watch, of course, and parents and grandparents who would not working during the day, since it was on at like 10 o'clock in the morning. Who's home, right? If you're not working, unless you're in college or watching somebody, different things of that nature. So it's a wide spectrum of people, and for different reasons and different places I go to, how they know me, or people would just be around and they're kind of looking at me. And I can tell, and they don't want to say anything, but like the thing is like, I know you. They'll say, I know you from somewhere. What is your name? Why do I know you? How do I know you? I'm like, well, did you see Friday, Miss Parker? They're like, yeah, Miss Parker. And like The Price is Right. They're like, I knew it, Mom. I knew that was that black girl on The Price is Right. That's that black lady on The Price is Right. I said I didn't mind being called the black lady on The Price is Right. And that was all well and good, because people couldn't think of my name. It was okay. And it's still cool, man. I just love it. The attention is really fun.
One of my early acting mentors was an African-American woman named Rosetta Lenoir. I don't know if you know the name or not. Very, very big on Broadway and off Broadway and teaching acting in New York City. And she pulled me aside. Perhaps she understood that I belonged to a couple of minorities. And she said, Jeffrey, it is so much harder for a woman in show business than a man. You have no idea. But multiply that by like 80 or 90 times how much harder it is for an African-American woman to get work in show business. She said the only person who has it worse is a lesbian African-American woman. So were you aware, was it, were you the recipient, do you think, of people not giving you parts or breaks because of your ethnicity, or did you sail through that somehow?
Well, primarily when I was coming up and doing, most of the time, I swear though, during the most premier part of my life, I will call it, when I was with the Love Machine, it was in the 70s. Then I went with another group in the 80s with Destination. We had a big hit record and on Billboard Records with Destination. There were 3 of us. So I didn't really get into the fold of the acting until like the mid part of the 80s or so. And doing a lot of modeling more so than anything. And there were specific calls for Black women and African American women for whatever audition or call that they would put out for you. So to that respect, we knew we were, they were looking for our type. Now, the thing about that was the different skin colors. Your skin color tone had something to do with some parts or some acting or a modeling job, whether you would get it or not. And sometimes, believe it or not, I was a little too fair-skinned to be doing maybe a hair ad or for Ultra Sheen or for something specifically for an African-American person, because, my hair looks like this, my skin is lighter. Sometimes they're really looking for a darker skinned person with real curly, Afrocentric kind of looking hair. So sometimes it was a catch-22. So I don't look the part. I do look the part, but I'm Black. I'm at the right age range, but just not Black enough, so to speak. And that would be having to do with skin tone. And then on the other hand, I know some of my very good friends who are very dark skinned and that couldn't get certain work because they wanted somebody with a lighter hue. And it was always kind of a struggle because there weren't so many jobs available to us back then as there are now. Things have changed drastically, because now we're able to do our own kind of production, directing, thanks to Spike Lee and Tyler Perry and Oprah and all the producers and directors and people making our own movies and things now, which is wonderful. We have the all Black channel. Who knew?
Right.
And specifically Black movies and different things of that nature. So, there was, like I said, a time was a lot of growing pains for actors and models and people coming up through the realm. And, it's just wide open now and a little better for us.
Were there African-American performers who inspired you when you were young?
I love Lena Horne was very inspirational to me because, that I could relate to a woman because of my skin tone, probably, how I look, and I felt like I was related to her to some degree. And she was just so magnificent in her own right. And Dorothy Dandridge, once again. So I think people kind of look towards people that they can relate to in that degree that they kind of favor or that are in your like family genes, so to speak, that you knew there was some hope for you as well, being that kind of looking person that you can also get that kind of work in jobs. And the movies that they were able to star in at the time and be a part of, and that in itself was quite first and forefront of them being able to be leading actresses and star in certain movies.
I would imagine Diane Carroll would have been on that list a little bit too. Oh,
she's another, actually, because of the television show She was magnificent, you know, when she was playing the nurse. I mean, that in itself was just unheard of for the most part for her to be starring in her own TV show at that point in time. And just so elegant and so beautiful. And, you know, there are, you mentioned her and probably others that I'm not, you know, thinking about that come to mind right away, but that have set a precedence for being able to be the first and have us looked at a different light and doing the entertainment world and what have you, that led to other people being able to, you know, when the doors were open to go in and say, oh, okay, yeah, you go work. We had Diane Caron. Well, you can do this show, or you can be a part of this show, or you can do whatever. So all of it was very relevant, how everything through the course of the ladder, raising the ladder and raising the bar and getting into the business up to where we're at today. Thank God.
How old were you? This is a question that's asked of me, but a little differently. How old were you when you realized how beautiful you are? Because you are magnificently beautiful, and that you could take the beauty and the ambition and the intellect and do something with and become Kathleen Bradley. Bradley, good heavens, Jeffrey Mark. Slap,
I know
slap.
you are off your game.
I are. First of all, I want you to know something. I'm a fan of yours. I watched the show with you on it, and I was cheering when they brought an African-American woman onto the show. You know what it is? Kathleen Bradley, Kate Bradley, Brady. I'm thinking about a Petticoat Junction, and I'm getting all confused.
Hey, that's okay. I'm already past it. I've been called worse, but you know what? Listen, what's really funny? My husband, my married name is actually Red, REDD, two
Right.
D's. Inevitably, I don't care where we're at, what we do. If somebody calls us on the phone, or we're signing our name, or they call us Reed all the time. Hey, Miss Reed. I said it's Red, REDD, Reed. Okay, we're on the phone. So we want you to know, do you want to increase your insurance stuff? Just let us know, Miss Reed. I said, that's one more time. You got them clicking, hanging up. It's Red, REDD. And it's so crazy because I don't know why people think that. I don't know if they think it's READ to read or something, or RED, but I get it all the time. Isn't that weird?
Maybe they're fans of Tara Reid.
It could be whoever they are, but they always, and my cousin, I have a cousin who actually was my first cousin. She actually married a Red as well. And they're not even related. So she's Mrs. Red and I'm Mrs. Red. So go figure. But we know what to call each other, but it's okay. I don't mind. And anyway, the question, you know, when I was a very young girl, though, like 7, 8, I knew I looked different than a lot of the other little kids in my neighborhood, outside of my normal, actual first cousins and everything. Because once again, you know, you have different types of Black people, African American, colored. We was colored people back then. Okay, coloreds, maybe Negro. And I have that in my book too. I said we went through the Negro, the colored, the Blacks, and who are we, right? So it's all a choice of what you want to be called nowadays. But back in those days, I just knew I had nice hair. And then I looked at some of my little neighbor friends and people and girls I played with, and they were a little darker, and their hair was not as it was a little more coarse, and not maybe as fine as mine. Wasn't fine. When I say fine, I'm talking about this texture of the hair and different things. I knew I was a little different, a cut from a different cloth, or like they say, a different tribe, we would kind of say back then. And I just felt very pretty. I would look in the mirror, and I know I looked very pretty. And my mother always taught me, though, she said, pretty is as pretty does. And I always remembered that. I taught my daughter that, and all my little granddaughter, right now, she's 5. She's freaking beautiful. I mean, oh my God, she knows it too. She's posing and everything already and doing all those things. I said, you're cute and pretty, but you got to be pretty inside. Yep. But when I guess coming up through school, I always said I wanted to leave Ohio, where I'm from, at some point and try to make it, in Hollywood. And my mother put me in acting class, well, not so much acting, in the beauty school and modeling classes and all kind of different things there that I could get into, etiquette classes and what have you when I was growing up. She was kind of helping prepare me for the big world. And then I entered into beauty pageants there in Ohio. And then, of course, in school, I was in the prom and in the plays and musicals there at the school. And one thing that really I was so blessed with was having one of my best girlfriends, who I'm from Girard. She lived in Youngstown, the next city over, and we grew up together. And she and her family just happened to be moving to Los Angeles the year right of Terry. She was a year older than me. She moved that year she got out of high school, which I was still in my high school year. And they moved to Los Angeles because Terry's grandfather lived in LA, and her mom and dad always wanted to come out. I was so blessed when I got out of school. I did a little work and earned some money, and I knew I had a place to go and to stay when I got to Los Angeles. So otherwise, had they not moved to Los Angeles when they did, my life once again would have been so much different, because I would not have come out to Los Angeles on my own, not knowing anybody. I was not that ambitious or that crazy. So I wouldn't have did it. I would have been no too. So everything happens by divine order, as I say, and that happened. And just from there on, I just I looked different. I knew I was blessed with good looks, and I said, I want to use it to my advantage any way I could. I started pageants when I came to Los Angeles once again, and I encourage young ladies. Sometimes pageantry can be very good for you. A lot of pageant winners and people even in the pageants have gone on to greater fame and been recognized. And it's a platform for you to be able to get recognized and show your talent when you may not have otherwise been able to do that. I was in Miss Hot Pants, Miss Fine Brown Frame, Miss this, Miss that. And then, of course, Miss Black California beauty pageant. Yep. I did win the Miss Black California. And that allowed me to get into the National Miss Black America pageant, which was in Philadelphia. And that was in 1971. I didn't win the pageant. However, I did have the opportunity to be with the 5 other state pageant winners and Miss Black America to go on a USO tour. We were able to go on a USO tour to Vietnam and Thailand. Wow. That in itself was amazing. My brother was in the service in Vietnam at the time. And they asked the girls that when we were going over, if you guys have any cousins, relatives, or anybody over there you want to see or what have you, we'll make sure and make arrangements so you can see them. And, you guys probably know and are aware of Vietnam back in the days and everything and how devastating that was. And not being there and only hearing in the newspaper and seeing somebody dying every day, the newspapers would just fill with our young guys and people in school just dying senselessly. So my brother was there in Cameron Bay, which is where we were going. I'm like, yes, I'll get to see my brother Scotty. I was so excited and everything. We flew over there. It seemed like it took forever, which it probably did. And then when we got off the plane, the service guys were so happy to see us. They had flowers for us and they were just so gracious as we stepped off the plane. Of course, we were outside and stepped down the plane, not on the runway kind of thing. And then I'm looking all over for my brother, Scotty. Where's Scotty? And I asked one of the sergeants, I said, where's Scotty Bradley? That's my brother. Where is he? I didn't see him. I started worrying. I'm like, where is he? He said, oh, gotta tell you, he's not coming here right now. He tied one on last night, got too drunk and could not get out the bed. I wanted to choke him. I wanted to kill him. I could not believe it. I come all that way and his ass is drunk in the bed because he was so excited the night before. Knowing his sister was coming, he was bragging to all the guys. He would always say, my sister, beautiful, coming, probably drinking and nervous and just happy and stuff. And I said, I never forgave her for not being there when I stepped off of that damn plane. And then I was afraid, like, what the heck happened to him? I was fearful. What happened? And then they told me that story. But he came around a couple hours later and I saw him and he was able to really spend most of the time. We were there like almost 2 weeks in Vietnam and he was able to go to Thailand with us. They gave him furlough and have a nice little time to spend with us. And that that was just so amazing. One of the most memorable experiences I've had in my life.
Wow.
And thank you for doing that for our
Right.
service people. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
My pleasure, by all means. Yeah, I have some great photos that were taken from there too that somebody has shared with me. I was so happy to see them. Yeah.
So, real quick for all our listeners and our viewers, if you want to know more about our amazing guest, or if you want to purchase her book, or just follow her, check the show notes up above or down below, depending on when you're watching or listening to us. All her information is there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there.
Instagram and everything. Yeah, get the book on Amazon. I'm hopefully going to
Yeah.
do an Audible pretty soon. I've really been putting it off. I get so tied up and so busy, but I want to do an Audible and just, read and say it and do it. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to reinvent my book and do a new cover, because they'll see the cover on there. And darn it, I should have my book. It's right in the other room, but I'm not going to run and get it. But it's all good. Just order.
That's right. If they want to see it bad enough, go to Amazon. The link is in the show notes.
And when you get the new cover, come out to Palm Springs where I am and do a book signing. I think you'll be very, very popular.
Oh, I would love to do that. Most definitely. Because actually the book came out in 2014, but I'm always reinventing myself, and always with a new group of people that haven't heard of The Price is Right, or knew it, or did know it, or just grew up and told their family about it. And just kind of like it comes in a whole bunch of clusters where it just sells a lot. And then, of course, we lost Bob Barker 2 years ago almost, and people bought the book then. And also, I'm going to be doing a documentary about The Price is Right. I can't talk about it right now. It's going to be really big.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm not doing it. I'm in it.
Right.
It's
right.
going to be very, very interesting. Yeah.
So, I'm not going to mention this person's name. A very, very big star who hosted a very, very big game show, but not for Goods and Todman. We were having lunch one day together, and we were talking about people we liked and people we admired. And apropos of almost nothing, he said, "Jeffrey, you know who the greatest actor in Hollywood is?" And I said, "No, what do you think?" He said, "Bob Barker, because he's convinced the world he's sweet." Now, that's his opinion, not yours or mine, because I never met Mr. Barker. But, there have been so many stories told about his being difficult, his coming on to the girls, stuff. Is it like some of it is true, all of it is true, none of it is true? Pick a topic here. I just want to.
She's like, ooh.
Well, let me say this about that. For me personally, he was a gentleman. He was a sweetheart. He was just really very good and open and friendly and joking with me and all of the girls. Basically, when I was on there, I never saw him act out of order with any of the girls, young ladies, staff members, or anything. I never saw it. But I did know that he and Diane Parkinson were having a relationship. It was consensual. And that was happening when I first got to The Price is Right. And at first I wasn't aware of it. Then I kind of looked around, took note, and then Diane would share some things with me. And her dressing room was right next to mine. And sometimes she would go down and disappear during lunchtime and come back up with the robe on. And I said, "Did you have yogurt for lunch?" I actually put that in my book. I didn't think about it.
But reading it is one thing, and hearing you say it is a whole different ballgame.
Not just saying it, the way she acted it out.
Yes.
I know.
Oh, my sides hurt.
Kathleen,
That is funny to me, in the way I said that. But
Kathleen,
anyway,
for historical perspective, what year did you start on the show?
1990 to 2000.
Yeah.
So Roddy was the announcer when you.
Oh yes, Roddy. He was such a sweetheart. I tell you, flaming as all out, good out. But he was just a sweetheart with his jackets and how he dressed and how he acted. He was just such a good guy, you know, really one of the last real good guys, just friendly. You know, when I first got there, the whole atmosphere and everything was just cool, fine. For me, it was, I was excited to be there. And different people, the guys, they really liked me, the crew, they were happy. They had a black woman on the show, just for at least the few black crew members that were there, which weren't that many. So, you know, we kind of have a little kinship and a nod when the black person would pass each other. You can be on the street and 400 white people on the street and one black, you'll go, it's just that kind of nod, that kind of friendship, that kind of, not friendship, kinship. But everybody was cool at then. But I've never seen him act out of sorts with any woman, though I had heard certain things after I left the show. And Diane, of course, tried to say there was sexual harassment when she knows good and well it wasn't. She was filing sexual harassment charges. I think a lot of people know that. That really tainted his image. It really hurt him. He was very hurt by that because he was an all-American family guy who just was apple pie and straight-laced, good-looking George Hamilton type of guy. And everybody loved Bob, giving everything away, and just all that came crushing down on him. And it was just really terrible.
Didn't Holly also say something had happened?
Yes, Holly's was different. Her lawsuit was all about termination for her weight.
Right.
Because, and it's kind of a crazy thing. And it was really a snowball effect when Diane started and said that she wasn't going to be on the show anymore. And then she said Bob did this, that, and the other. And all of us went to a deposition on Bob's behalf, of course, because we knew better. But Holly did not want to testify. She did not. Bob resented that. He never forgot that she did not testify on behalf of him for the Diane Parkinson case. And that was something he always kind of took with him and kind of thought about. And over a period of time, Holly was taking steroids because she had health issues. And the steroids make you heavier, you know, put on weight. And camera already puts 10 pounds on you. So she really had a difficult time with her weight. And Bob was saying that was a reason that she, you know, not a reason for her to leave the show. But it got really convoluted, very complex. And things got a little ugly. They didn't let Holly do as much as she was doing on the show, on the showcases, and just she was just really being phased out. And more than anything, it was just a vendetta from Bob because, you know, he didn't want to say that it was for her weight. I got pulled into some things and stuff. It was just kind of crazy. But after, you know, the Diane incident and all, he treated us a lot differently. He was a little more standoffish. He didn't allow us to speak anymore. We were allowed to talk at some point when, like, he'd ask us a question and put us on, you know, speak. Kathleen at the end, when we had a little spare time, if no one wanted to showcases, he said, "Oh, what's going on? How you doing?" So. But after that, no more speaking. A lot of different things changed over a period of time. And after Mark Goodson passed away, and, you know, even in the green room where we used to get coffees and donuts, we would still kind of get a little bit of coffee, but we would not even get a donut whole. Okay, it was that bad. Terrible. But then we had, you know, a change of Fremantle came into play, took over, and just a lot of different things that happened and transpired over a period of time. And then we had to testify for Holly's depositions. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, it became quite a mess. But in the long run, they let me and Janice go unjustifiably, saying there's going to get some new people. I think Bob was upset or mad with us because things didn't go his way. He would never attest to that. And he said he had nothing to do with it. But, you know, it really broke my heart because Janice, she had been on the show almost 29 years. And Holly was on for quite a long time, 17, 18, 20 years. The girls, it was that long-lasting, wonderful job you always wanted and thought about that you can have forever and just stay on and retire and, you know, do that. And it's a great gig and going to work not far from here and good pension and all of that. But that all came tumbling down after my 10th year.
Yeah. And Janice had that accident in the studio.
Yeah, she was. I wasn't there when she had that accident.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, you know, in the opening, when one of the young ladies would hand Bob the microphone to start the show, They had a cameraman who wasn't used to the show. The cameraman got ill. Someone was brought in by the union to replace him. He just didn't understand. You have to whip those cameras around. It's like choreography. The Price is Right, and he knocked her over into the audience, and she's scarred for life from that on
Yeah,
her
she broke her
shoulder.
bone. Yeah, it was
And
horrible. So I hear, yeah. And she showed me the scar, and it was terrible. It was really bad. So they paid her off pretty well. I mean,
yes,
she was
they did.
able to stay there, but she had, I mean, had it was very justified. But that was unfortunate that that happened. I put some things in the book too about a few little incidences and things that happened that could have went wrong. And I was in an accident, Holly and I, when because when we do the shows, we do rehearsals and we go out and do actual for the camera work and blocking and what have you, hold the product right or go. We have to go behind the curtains and different things. And Holly and I were behind one of the curtains doing something. Oh, we were doing a big oven. It was an industrial oven, had like 6 or 8 burners, real heavy duty steel cast steel oven and refrigerator and different things. In the meantime, Diane was in this boat. We were given a boat away and had what you call it, the hull, the front of it that goes like, what's that called? Is that right?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yes,
The part,
yes.
and so they were getting ready to change the scene, and Holly and I were standing in front, and then the hall was in the back of the curtain behind the big old cast iron. They were swinging it around, and they didn't know they were swinging it into the stove. Holly and I were standing there getting ready to do it, the presentation and stuff and everything. And then all of a sudden, the whole stove came tumbling down, and I froze. One of the guys, a gripper or somebody, he pulled me out of the way. And can you imagine a 6 or 7, 8, the stove, how big it was, industrial stove? It had fallen on me, on my legs, on my knees. Oh my God. And I froze. And I did, some things scattered and shattered, and we got some shards from the steel or something. And Holly, I did go to the hospital and what have you. So that was kind of crazy, but by and large, it's not that dangerous working there, but those kind of freak accidents happened, and a couple of times the refrigerators have fallen over. People have moved out the way because it wasn't so sturdy, or if there's nothing in it and you're trying to pull the door open, might have been on a dolly or something. But, and then, just running out there, skipping over the cords and different things. You learn to do that and what have you. But it was fun for the most part. And just
even
not
the Price is Right train once in a while didn't work right.
Derailed, huh?
Yeah,
Right. That's right. It would derail.
For those of you who don't know, The Price is Right was shot in the same studio where they shot the Carol Burnett show and other variety shows and things. And backstage is not as deep as you think it is. And they had to take these boats and cars and huge things through a hallway. They had to get it from the outside around the building into this huge hallway, and then gently get it into the studio itself. And they had to do this really quickly because the show in Bob Barker's time was shot live to tape, meaning they didn't stop. Today they stop. And before everything, they stop, they rearrange it, and then they start again. In Bob's day, it was just as if it was being presented live. So
That's
there were
right.
all kinds of misfortunes, a few of which happened, most of which didn't, but could have.
That's true. You're right there. That's what happens sometimes. And it was live, taped live in front. They say a live audience. There were very few times I can remember on that show that we did any kind of pickups. I mean, in the 10 years I was there, I might have had to do 5 pickups. And that is very rare because everything was shot in real time. And it usually just kind of worked out. Some things were bloopers or flubs that kind of were funny that people like to see. And we left, you leave it in there and stuff. Holly was the queen of bloopers. Holly was one always tripping and falling over everything and all kind of things. She was very Calamity Jane right there. But she's a sweetheart.
Hey, Kathleen, did you get to keep any of those wonderful clothes you wore on the show?
Very seldom did we get to keep any clothes. If we asked, we were able to. And Cheryl Paris and the other wardrobe lady, they sometimes they let me use it because there were a few times I wanted to go out and do an event or a formal or something. And if we had some really nice dresses, I'm like, can I wear that dress? I'll bring it back. A few times we did just a few little items. They let me keep some sometimes when we were finished with them because, we kind of rotated clothing, depends. And over a period of time, and some things just got outdated and older. And some of the things I think they donated to the women's shelter. But
Good.
if it was something I really liked, I kind of talked them into it. But for the most part, we didn't though. But we could.
Well, times have changed with the show. It's no longer shot at Television City. In fact, Television City isn't really Television City anymore.
Right.
And they start and stop. So it's shot in Glendale now in a much smaller studio with a smaller audience. And now they have a male model. In fact, most of the modeling is done by men.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about that? Do you think it's good that men have come in, or are they taking away work for ladies?
Well, you know what? That's interesting. You should say that because when Janice and I were let go, we were told that, they're going to change the format with the models. They might get some younger models or different looking models. And they're thinking about adding a male model. And I said, well, if Bob's still there, it would be over his dead body, literally, that a male model would come up in that show, which they did wait till he left, right, to bring in the male model. We would never have a male model there. And but right now, I rarely watch the show. I might have it on because if I watch CBS Good Morning America, or CBS Morning News, I kind of keep it on because I have a television in my home office area. And then I'll turn the sound down and I'll just be able to kind of look at it and watch it a little bit. And I see the male models there. I think it adds a little charm to it. The women like to see the male models. And as long as they still keep the pretty, nice, cheap models that wear little short dresses and heels and doing their thing, that's what made, the show more famous with the Barker Beauties and the Beauties. So, but the guys, they add a little charm to it a little bit. It's a little corny sometimes, but it's cool.
Yes. I must admit, watching male models, they always seem just the teeniest bit self-conscious. Where you guys could, here it is, and look at this, and here we are. They're kind of like, I'm not gay. Look at
I know,
this.
right? I know, yeah. I get that too. I never felt like they were real comfortable. I could see them settling in a little better because I think both of the guys have kind of been there for a while. And I could see them a little settling into their own because I'm sure, quite frankly, when they got there, they were probably a little gun shy, so to speak, and just felt a little awkward. And it looked awkward and felt awkward because, like I said, they were so used to having the females on the show forever. And then here come these guys. So what are you going to show? Okay, a boat or car or something, whatever. But it's cool. It is what it is. It will never be another Bob Barker or the major Barker Beauties as we were. And so glad to have been like within the realm of the famous three models and added as a fourth model and as the first African-American model. So, and then Bob, of course, just couldn't replace him. They knew it was going to be a hard thing to do. And even when he left, he was like, nope, don't want George Hamilton. Nope, not John Hurley. Anybody that looked like him, anybody that was tall, good looking or whatever, he was like, nah. He had a lot to do with and say who was going to be on there.
They even tried Mario Lopez.
Yeah,
he didn't make
that's right. They did.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a good looking guy, but younger. But Bob, like I said, George Hamilton and John O'Hurley, those guys really resemble what kind of man Bob was. And it's like, let's take it in a whole nother direction somewhere. And then in walks our dear illustrious host to this day, Drew Carey, who was like 60 pounds overweight, frumpy as could be, very disheveled. I felt sorry for him when he first got on. I'm like, oh, hell no. Are you kidding? It was hard to fill it in Bob's shoes. And here comes, I'm from Ohio, which I love you, Drew, but he was just not the guy. And then, of course,
look how many years he's been there now. It's amazing.
Right. Well, so that's what they did. They went from, Barker's Beauties to Drew's Dudes.
Yeah, right. Drew's Dudes. Hey, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he lost a lot of this weight. And he came into his own, but it's, I still see he doesn't overwhelm me or thrill me as the host there. He
It's a
still
different
seems
show.
to be, yeah, he still seems a little out of place to me there. It just doesn't work for me. But I, nothing against him
He
per se, but
doesn't. He doesn't seem to care about the games the
yeah.
way Bob did.
Yeah, right. The energy or something is gone. And Bob had the energy and the fun and the way he would deliver things and say things and relate to the audience. And, his timing was really good with his little
Why?
jokes, little things.
Well, anything I was bringing up about him personally has got nothing to do with how incredibly talented he was.
Of course.
And,
of course.
and had a whole career doing Truth or Consequences and The Price is Right. Some of it at the same time.
Yes. Oh,
In
yeah,
fact,
right.
there was one episode of The Price is Right. He looks in the camera and goes, "This is Bob Barber wishing all of you have great consequences." And he stopped himself and said, "Oh, I'm on the wrong show." He said, I knew I would do this someday. I would give the wrong ending for the wrong show.
That's funny. That is funny. I could imagine that.
Ms. Bradley, slap again. How many shows a day did you guys do back then?
When I first got on the show, we were taping 3 days a week. We did 3 shows a day. And we worked for 3 weeks and we were off a week. So that was a wonderful schedule. I love that schedule, as I should say. And then when Bob actually had a little mild, it was a heart attack or stroke or something. I forgot what he had.
He had a stroke.
Yeah. Yes. And we started doing lesser shows a week just for him, for his health. And then
I only ask because it's hard work. What you did is hard work.
It's not so much that it's hard work. It's not really hard work. It's a lot of fun, but it is not time consuming so much, but you got to be on your mark. You got to be there. You got to know what you're doing. It's not as easy as it seemed when we had to, go in. And actually we didn't even have to get into work till 10 a.m. for production meeting. I'm like maybe 10, 15 minutes away from CBS. I was almost late most of the time because I live so damn close. The closer you live, the later you get, man. You take it for granted. I'm like, oh shit.
You over at Cantor's Deli having a bagel. You can't fool me.
Something, honey. I'm telling you, I'm like, oh no, can't be late. Oh my God, I hated that. But then we started doing 2 shows a day, 4 days a week or something. I think we went from 4 days or something like that. I forget. But we kept the time down a little bit for Bob to help him out with his health, so it wouldn't be so rigorous for him. But of course, he never had to rehearse, which he didn't need to, because he was such a professional, consummate professional, could come out and just do whatever is necessary that needs to be done, and the show rundown and what have you, because he knew it like that. But the schedule was really wonderful. Then we'd have hiatus for two months, which was good, like from June to August or September or something. And it was a great schedule. It allowed me time to be with my family and what have you, because I'd get home, or we'd finish about 6 o'clock. So from like 10 to 6 in the morning and later, and 3 days a week and working. Oh my God, it was really a great, sweet gig.
Yes, and you have 2 children?
Yes, I do. I have 2 children.
How are they?
My daughter Cheyenne is 42, and my son Terrence is 36. And actually, another thing, trivia, I was the first model on the show to have children. Nobody else had children. So I was the first model on the show to ever have children. And I used to bring my son on the set sometimes. I wish hopefully I could find some of those. Somebody went way back in the archives and shows all of the girls and has taken all the clips out of each of the models with the swimsuits and the best of our swimsuits sessions. And he's done it for all of the models. And this is so incredible. And I got a hold of them and was able to see them. They're on YouTube. The Best of Kathleen, volume 1 and volume 2 and 3. And as a matter of fact, I was looking at one today. It's so crazy. I was going through my photos and videos and different things and happened to see that. They're on, a couple of them are on my website, Bradley.tv. So you can see it on there.
She's never going to let me forget it.
She's not. Right, she is not.
And she has every right not to.
But no, you can see that, on my videos, and they're one. You can go on The Price is Right has a website as well. But the guy
And there's-
took all the excerpts, all of our clips of each girl and put it into like a 3 or 4 minute little collage. And this is so wonderful. And how he did that, it's just really remarkable. But it's a lot of fun. It's something that we can go back and look at, and just reminisce on, because otherwise I wouldn't know really how to get the shows. Somebody said that The Price is Right now, I guess, is on the Game Channel or one of those, but I don't think they're showing my era yet.
Yeah, they are. The Price is Right has a channel now.
Yep.
And of course, the platform just went right out of my head. It's not Hulu, it's not Tubi, but it's a one of those platforms. And 24 hours a day, they show the Bob Barker episodes of The Price is Right. Usually the episodes from the 80s and the 90s. There must be something technical about the ones from the 70s. They show some of them, but the early ones they don't show at all. But, so yes, you are there every day, 24 hours a day. You should be getting residuals, and if you're not, talk to your agent and your manager, because it's 24 hours a day.
So you saw the ones with me in them? I haven't seen
Oh,
them.
absolutely.
Oh God, yeah, we should be getting some kind of money from that.
You
There's no
betcha.
question about it.
You betcha.
Wow. Yeah, I will definitely look into that. I will find it. Yeah.
You tell them Jeffrey Mark sent you.
I will.
Or
Jeffrey.
if you want to get back at me, Godfrey Merck. And
I was
that
gonna
would
say
be-
Godfrey.
So,
That's funny.
you know how I came up with that name that fast? My very first nightclub gig in the 70s at the Duplex in New York, and they give me this 5-minute introduction about Joan Rivers and Joanne Worley and Woody Allen all got their start here, and we've met a young man, and blah, 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 blah. And here he is, Godfrey Merck. They got both names wrong.
Oh, Godfrey Merck, not even Jeffrey Mark.
Had I been more experienced, like I'd done a half an hour of comedy about it. Instead, I got a little testy and just went into my act. But so it happens to the best of us, Kathleen, and you are among the best of us.
That's why I cut my name down to 3 letters and no last name.
And sometimes I say my name is Kay or Kate when I'm getting my coffee from the coffee place. And they say, "What's your name, man?" And I just didn't want them to take the time, right, Kathleen? Sometimes Kay or Kate. I just said Kay, and that was it. They can go
You know
with that.
what? We should all of us get together and produce a reboot of Petticoat Junction, because you are Kate Bradley.
Yes, that's right. I love Petticoat Junction. Petticoat Junction. That was so good. Wouldn't mind have been on that one. But yeah,
They put it in the town called Hooterville. How did they get away with that in 1963?
That's true, Hooterville, huh?
Right?
Oh.
Oh, God. So we are coming up on time, and we don't want to keep Kathleen too long. So, Mr. Godfrey Merck, do you have any last questions for our amazing guest?
Is there an area of show business? I'll rephrase the question from earlier. Is there an area of show business that you've never had the opportunity to use your talents, that you've always wanted to? Is there something you haven't quite reached yet?
You know, I love comedy. I bet you never guess that. But
You're
I
funny,
love
right?
comedy, and I always have thought if I was given the opportunity, I would be wonderful on SNL, Saturday Night Live, because I love that kind of slapstick comedy, over the top. And I'm like that anyway. My daughter Cheyenne, she says when I'm talking or doing things, sometimes I'm so expressive and I use my hands. I used to do even more so. She says, "Mom, that looks like fake and just phony." I'm like, "Yeah, it's not fake or phony. That's me. It's how I like to do things. Even if I had a reading to do some things, I would try to be different and do it differently and just be more myself." But I would definitely like to have, and still looking forward to doing more comedy and doing a sketch show like this black girl. I forget her name. They have the Black Woman Sketch Show. I don't know if you've ever seen that. It is hilarious. It is like Saturday Night Live on steroids with these black ladies, and they do things and they do different scenes, and it's so funny. It's amazing. It's a spoof, and it's incredible. It's wonderful. That kind of thing I'd like to do. I have a character that's on my Instagram. I'm going to do YouTube, and her name is Kathleen. She has on a little black natural. She wears a band around it. She likes the tiger looking animal print and everything. She wears this lipstick, red lipstick, and she always has some red lipstick on her tooth. Hi, I'm Kathleen, and I want y'all to know I'm doing the deal to die. And that's right. Kathleen, my best friend. Yeah, we from okay. And you got to imagine that and just go on there. I did a couple of little skits like that. It's so funny. You can see it on my Instagram. And it's so funny. And I did actually split with me and her. I did the interview like this. And she was interviewing me, Kathleen, about the 50th anniversary of The Price is Right. And why Kathleen wasn't on. Why wasn't Kathleen on 50th anniversary? Just y'all tell me. Why wasn't Kathleen on 50th anniversary? Didn't have Janet, Holly, none of them. What happened with that? So Kathleen, I said, Kathleen, that's quite all right. You know, it's really amazing. But it's a lot of fun. And that's exactly what I want to do. Bringing that character to life.
Excellent.
Mr. Ben, do you have a question?
Well, I never have questions for our guests because usually Jeff is with us. We usually have another co-host, but he's on vacation this week. How dare he? How dare he? No.
Right, I hear you.
So, let's see.
I just want to remind people to come out in case they're just tuning in to the this next Friday. I think it's Friday, 18th, June 18th, to the Friday Miss Parker House in the Friday whole neighborhood street, 126th Street. And it's off of Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles, 126th Street, where the actual movie took place. And my house, Miss Parker, I'm going to be there signing autographs. Somebody said they're having a big barbecue or something. And like I was saying earlier, they do have buses and busloads of people that come in from all over, everywhere. And one of the few things, aside from Hollywood and all the Beverly Hills and driving through, they want to come on the Friday street. And they come there. We have tons of people coming down. They're having a good time. I'll be there signing autographs, photos, videos, what have you. So I'll probably come around 12 o'clock or so.
That was my question. What time is the event starting?
I'm sure probably around noon, probably going on all day.
So all you Friday fans out there, a week from this coming Friday, if you're watching us live, but whether you're watching us live or a little bit later, Friday, July 18th around noon, go to the Friday house and you'll get maybe to eat some barbecue, but definitely get to meet this beautiful lady and buy her book and get her autograph and ask her buy her some jewelry. She deserves it.
Yes, you know that, man.
Right. So again, folks, just check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. All that information is there for you. So with that, Kathleen, where do you like to interact with your fans on the social medias?
Well, basically on Instagram, more so than anything. I don't really do Twitter anymore. I did a little bit of Twitter. I'm not a Twitter fan. I'm really not. That just takes it seems like you got to go on there every day and what have you. And sometimes if I get too political, I have to take stuff down. But I don't like, only reason now, like Instagram, I'll post a few political things. But nowadays, even when I do the interviews at home, auditions, when they have you send in photos and videotape and self-tapes for auditions, then now they have a spot on there that says, what is your Instagram handle? Let us see how many fans or what you're doing on there. I never let them know because really I don't feel like it's their business, but it might be if it's a client. So therefore I take heed in what I do put up there politically and I have sometimes taken a few things down if I think they're going to look at my website. My Instagram, because I'm sure if you do have a client or somebody who has a product or something that might, be Republican, Democrat or whatever, or what have, and they just really don't want anybody representing them in a negative manner or a manner in which their political realms don't fall under the same umbrella, which I can understand that. So, but I keep mine pretty general, try to keep it family oriented and things that I've done or where I go. A lot of things on there with my golf tournaments. I come in contact with so many celebrities and people playing golf, like Emilio Rivera the other day and his wife. She's a beautiful actress. And like I said, Anthony Anderson and George Lopez and all of those guys and people I see all quite frequently playing golf, and Byron Scott. So I like to post stuff like that and with the family and different things and of that nature. But a lot of these other people that have Instagrams, you know, they're like into themselves. They will just only post themselves that are really trying to be the what do you call it, the Instagram influencers and things of that nature.
Mhm.
I'm not that kind of influencer. I just like to have fun. And people like to see what I'm doing because they love Miss Parker or The Price is Right. So I'm sharing a part of my life that I like to share with them and let them know what I'm doing because I think that's the fun part of it. And they're like, oh, wow, so such and such. But like I said, I kind of stay away from the political realm because everybody has an opinion, you know, and that's okay. They should have their opinion. But I don't want to have to look and read some negative things or say something that just I didn't agree with. And because I really don't give a shit, tell you the truth. So keep the
I
opinion to
love it.
yourself, tell you the truth. So I understood when I saw the beginning of the show, it said nudity, what's cursing, different things, and foul language, and 18 or I said, oh, fuck, I can say what I want. God.
I love it.
On behalf of
show. All right.
on behalf of all your fans out there, Kathleen, you're fucking hot.
Thank you. But I did. I said, oh my God, that kind of show. Well, okay.
Right?
18 and old.
Oh,
Mr. Jeffrey
Kathleen,
Mark.
thank you so much for being with us, Kathleen, and everybody's watching. Jeffrey Mark, just the way it's spelled in those gothic letters down there on Facebook, Jeffrey Mark Showbiz on Instagram. And we have another show, you know, Ben and I. Jeffrey Mark Plays Ella, which is an hour of the great music of the wonderful Ella Fitzgerald with me on camera telling you all the insider stories about why it's important and what's cool about it. And you can see that every Sunday for brunch or afterwards forever on
You know
the
what? You scared me for a minute because you just said led into Jeffrey's playing Ella. I'm like, what? You didn't say the rest. Jeffrey's playing Ella. I'm like,
I've written, Kathleen, I've written 2 books about Ella. I sing her music in cabarets.
I know, but you didn't say the rest. It's just those words. He's playing Ella. And then you said, oh, Fitzgerald in music. I'm thinking playing the lady or something. I'm like, oh, really? Goes that way or something? It was a joke. You have to.
I get it. And I've got 7 lines ready to explode. I won't use any of them. Anyhow, Ben is my producer for that show. So tune in on Sundays or any other day you care to watch it.
I love it.
What can I say except on my behalf?
Sundays at what time?
Sundays at 11:30 Pacific and 2:30 Eastern.
What channel is it? How do people tune into it?
On YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube,
and it's called, what's it called again?
Jeffrey Mark Plays Ella.
Or for short, GPE.
Or for short, GPE.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm going to listen to it. I like that. I'll find it.
And it'll be coming to podcast platforms very soon.
Very, very soon. So it'll be everywhere. You won't be able to avoid it.
Good.
Nope.
Love it.
Ben, I love you, and I love doing this show every week. Jeff, we missed you, but we'll see you next time, I hope. And
he will be back next week. Yes,
you know, I've already said God bless. I've already said have a happy. Ben, it's on to you.
So we want to thank Kathleen for taking time out of her busy schedule to come hang out with us this evening, talk about the 30th anniversary of Friday, her 10 years of being one of the most iconic beauties on The Price is Right, and everything else that she's done. Make sure you check the show notes, folks. Get your ass off the couch. Get out to LA, Vermont and 126th. Did I get that right?
Yes, sir.
That's right. Yes, you did.
At noontime for a Friday event on a Friday. Who would have thought that? A Friday event on a Friday. So for us, just check out stilltoking.com where you can find out everything you need to know about everything that Jeff and I do, from the novel to the TV series to the animation to all that blah, blah, to all these amazing shows. To all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do so people like us can come up here and do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. We are out of here. So come on.